When my son died, I was pissed at the world because I trusted oncologists to save his life and they failed. This business represents my son, and if it fails, then it dies. And if it dies, then it was under my control and I let it happen. That is why nobody will beat me. The only way that this thing fails is for me to die.
Have you ever sent a secret shopper in here before?
I'm gonna go get a part-time job so that I can at least generate some extra money so that I can at least make sure my personal needs are met.
How did you come up with the name?
Hi, Laney.
Hi!
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Okay.
So my first question, how long have you worked for me?
Oh gosh, almost 2 years, February of 23.
So you'll be getting a cake here pretty soon then.
Yes.
I like that because, I mean, it's Matt's thing. Mm-hmm. And I think every leader, every manager should have a thing that helps bring a team together. And his thing is cakes. And I'm like, it works for him and all of you seem to like it.
Yeah, since they've had this tour back, I think I've had 3 cakes, so.
3 cakes?
3 cakes. Graduation, birthday. Oh no, I guess it was just 2. Graduation and birthday.
But you got to participate in probably more than 3 cakes.
Yes, many cakes.
He finds a reason for a cake.
Lots of cake.
Yes. Okay. So through all of this, I have been, I don't want to say pleasant. I mean, I've been pleasantly, but not surprised. I mean, some really good questions that have come out of all of this from everybody. It's allowing me to get to know everybody on a little deeper level and vice versa. So your interview, what do you have for me?
Okay, so my first question is if you had any advice to give yourself before you started Junkiez from now, what would it be?
Before I started. So, I mean, the thing is I started Pizza Junkiez when I was roughly 30 years old. You're at an age where I can remember being your age, full of piss and vinegar, and generally thinking that you know everything. That me and my generation are just old fogies and the world has passed us by and we don't know anything and it's your time to shine and you know better. And it's not true. You have more energy. You have more zest for life because the failures and the losses and the heartache haven't beat you down. And I say it like that because on the other respect, too many people get jaded due to life. Life just beats you down. I wish that I had been willing to be more receptive to older people because as I have stated before, the mistakes don't have to be yours in order to learn from them. And the mistakes that are made by the older generation, 99% of the time are just as relevant today as they were when they made those mistakes when they were your age. And I wish that I had been more open to outside input when I was your age. But on that end of it, maybe that is just the journey of life that you're supposed to come into the world at your generation or at your age full of piss and vinegar. But sooner or later, if you're not going to be willing to learn from other people's mistakes, you're going to stumble on them yourself and you're going to get beat up and you're going to learn those lessons. And then you're going to get to be my age and you're going to look back on the next generation and be like, you're so foolish and naive. And that's that circle of life we all go through where, yeah, the young ones that are open to receiving perspective from the older generation and learning from their lessons, mistakes, and perspective are able, if there's a life hack, that's the life hack, is seeking out the older generation's perspective and wisdom gained through experience, so that you can shortcut some of that pain and apply it to your own success and journey in life. How's that?
That was good. That was great.
Okay.
Okay, my next one is, do you think anybody could do what you do, or do you think you need to have a specific personality type?
I think I have to preface this answer with, I am no better or worse than anybody else, but I am different. No, not anybody can do what I do. Quite the opposite. The vast majority are not cut out for what I do. They're not capable of what I do. That is only to say I am built differently. In a lot of ways, I'm broken. I will say that, through the readings, the vast majority of successful entrepreneurs have experienced a major life trauma that has changed them. It has changed their view of the world. It has hardened them. Very specifically, I was a union rep representing 500 people as the in-house lawyer with a child with cancer, and I lost the child and still did the job. And when I left Chrysler, I thought, if I can mentally weather that, nothing can be harder. I couldn't have been more wrong. Entrepreneurship has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. The difference is that as I was doing my job and going through everything with my son, all I had to do was endure what was coming at me, what was happening. Doctors were making decisions. I just had to trust doctors. These things were happening to me, and I just had to endure. In entrepreneurship, the buck stops at you. You have to make the decisions. You have to hold yourself accountable. Pass or fail comes back to you as a responsibility where you're not enduring somebody else's actions. You are having to make decisions and take actions. Entrepreneurship is a decision-making journey, and it is about thriving on solving problems, and those problems can come at you from many different directions, from many levels of complexity, and 99.9% of the people in the world are not cut out to do that. I will tell everybody, do not become an entrepreneur. Do invest in yourself. Do develop as a leader. The problem with entrepreneurship is that this world has never stopped turning. So there are big businesses that have mastered doing business. And when you start off day one in entrepreneurship, you know nothing. And day one, you're competing with people that have mastered the game. That's why the failure rate is so high, because so few are able to weather that journey of development and growth to being able to be viable and sustaining in business, knowing the whole road has been pushing not a snowball, a frickin' boulder up a hill, knowing that the people are up there laughing as they're making money because they've already figured it out, and they're throwing rocks at you while you're pushing the boulder up the hill. The vast majority of people are not cut out to endure that kind of pain. They're not cut out to make those kind of sacrifices. And if you're going to throw in the towel and quit halfway through, everything behind it is a waste. So if you can't evaluate yourself and say, I know myself to be the type of person that I don't know the definition of quit. I know myself to be the type of person that I can endure pain to the level of, as long as it doesn't kill me and stop me from breathing, it's not going to stop me from moving forward. If you don't have that kind of stubborn, if you don't have that kind of conviction and determination, and the vast majority of people don't, then you shouldn't be doing entrepreneurship. And again, I'm not saying I'm special. Hell, I'm more saying I'm dumb. I'm a glutton for punishment. There are times when it's okay to quit. I don't know how to quit. No. Most people should stay 1,000 miles away from entrepreneurship. And the thing is, most people, they get into it for the wrong reasons. They get into entrepreneurship because they think that it's their path to riches. And the reality is, if you will just be disciplined and live below your means and go work and make money and then invest the proper ways with the money that you're not spending on the daily basis, you can become a millionaire by investing that money and totally shortcut all of the pain and misery that you are asking for, that you have to own, that you put yourself in the line of fire because you decided to throw your ring in the hat, throw your hat in the ring to become an entrepreneur. It is truly it is a painful process, and they like, what is that? Coal under pressure becomes a diamond. Well, under pressure, you become something. I am not the same person that I was when I started this journey, because you go through something that puts you under so much pressure. Whatever it is on the other side, it's not the same as the person that went into it. But it is a crushing, debilitating, painful amount of pressure for an unlimited amount of time. Most people aren't built to do that. And so I'm not trying to be arrogant or cocky. I'm not trying to ego. But no, most people cannot do what I do. And it took me a long time before I was, so much of it, my head wasn't above water. I had a straw. I was completely underwater, and the straw was barely above water, and I just kept breathing through a straw. It's a very painful journey. I won't advise anybody to get into entrepreneurship. There's too many moving parts. There's too many personalities. There's too many low character people that can affect your journey. My mentor is one of the most righteous individuals I've ever met in my life. And in his journey, he built his business all the way up and then had $1 million stole from him. Only somebody like him was able to take that setback and continue moving forward to become what people see as successful. There's too many pitfalls. There's too many ways to fail. I will never. I'm just being honest, and it goes completely against all the gurus online and on all of the business coaches that are like, just pay me and I'll tell you how to be successful. It's a crock of shit. They're trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you a fantasy, and we all know fantasies are not reality. No, I just happen to have thicker skin, and I'm able to endure more pain than the average person.
Okay. My next one is, do you have any other business owners or entrepreneurs that you look up to? I
do. I did that because it was, somebody posed the question, do I have any heroes? And I'm like, no, I don't. No heroes. Everybody puts their pants on the same way. Everybody bleeds the same way. But I do have a couple business people that I really, truly look up to. They gained more wisdom quicker. They asked the right questions and extracted the nuggets out of it and applied it to their own journey faster. I had to develop my discipline. And I look at them and I'm like, you have that discipline and you're younger than me. How can you not have respect for that? Because I don't have that hero, because I just don't, that's not my thing. I don't view them as above me or below me. They just have a different perspective, and I'm open to letting other people's perspective affect me. because I'm always questioning, am I right or wrong? Am I seeing things through the proper lens? But yes, that's they say that, the saying comes back to, if you want to know what your net worth is, look at the 5 people you surround yourself with. Well, worth can be gauged in a lot of ways, and to me, truth is the highest vibration. So honesty has just as much worth to me as loyalty, as respect, as bank accounts. Because there can be a piece of shit that got lucky and he's got $1 million in the bank, that he'll value that, but I value all of these character things just as much, if not more, than I value having money in the bank. The money in the bank is, hey, I weathered all of this and I was able to come out the other side, and I've got a little bit of money in the bank. But it's not about entrepreneurs. I think it's just about good people and seeking out good people and telling them, like, you want to open yourself up to receiving their perspective, because you understand their perspective is based in their journey, and anything that you can learn on any day is something that you can apply to all of your next days.
Okay. My next question, where do you see yourself and Junkiez in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I will probably have very little to do with this business. And I'm just being honest. I'm approaching 50. I remember when I was younger, and I said, where's my Ray Kroc? And for the people that don't know the McDonald's stories, the McDonald brothers built McDonald's. They built the systems, they built the brand. They tried to duplicate. They were unsuccessful because of the people element. And Ray Kroc came in and he saw the brilliance of what they did, but he went about developing and expanding until the day he died at like 67 years old. He literally worked on building and growing a brand until the day he died. I don't want to do that. I have been working on this brand since I was 30 years old. And if I've already put 20 in it, and if I put another 10 in it, I would like to appreciate the fruits of the labor. The goal today, from where I am at 20 years to 30 years, is to build a proper foundation and offer opportunities to the next generation, and like yourself, to let other people continue to develop and grow and take it to the next level. And I will just simply know that I laid the foundation for you guys to be able to take those tools and take it further than what I did.
Okay. My next one is, so I've seen that celebrities have like I made it moments where like they just like look at the crowd and like they look like very proud of themselves. Have you ever had one of those, and what was it?
Not in that respect. And I say that, it's because of the words that you chose. One, I think celebrities are a joke. I think that they're full of themselves. They think too highly of themselves in general. And generally speaking, most celebrities are personalities that have accomplished next to nothing. Have I had those I made it moments? Yeah, they were private moments. Generally speaking, they were moments in front of the ocean when I realized that most people were working at that moment and I wasn't. I was standing beside the ocean, and it was because of all of the work that I had done that in that moment it allowed me to be there experiencing that moment, knowing that the businesses were continuing to operate. Those were those types of moments, because when I left Chrysler for one word: freedom. I wanted the freedom to do with my time what I wanted to do with my time. And the funny part is when I left Chrysler, I literally built my own jail for the first 10 years. And it was only after laying that foundation and doing a bunch of hard work that I realized I could actually open up my own jail door and walk out of that jail and start giving myself what I valued most, which is freedom. Like the limelight and the credit and they're an overnight success. Like, that's a crock of shit. Overnight successes are not overnight. That shit takes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years to happen. And when it does happen, it's nice because it does afford you the ability. It's that old saying, I'm willing to sacrifice and do what most are not so that I can experience and live like most are not able to. I'm not saying that like I said, I'm not altruistic. No, all of this hard work, I expect it to lead to a certain amount of wealth so that I'm able to experience things that most people are not able to experience. It's not that I'm better than them, it's that they're not willing to put in the work that I have been willing to put in order to experience those things. But I value experience. I don't value possessions. And I heard a saying that was like, when you don't have anything, you want to be a millionaire so that you can go get things. And once you become a millionaire, you go out and get things. And once you become a multi-millionaire, you realize you don't want any of those things because all you've done is create another level of responsibility, another level of maintenance, another level of taxation. I'm trying to leapfrog that piece and figure out what are those 1 or 2 things that I really want and get those, but not collect up a bunch of things that I have no real desire to have, because then I'm going to have to put energy into getting rid of all of them. No, I want experiences. I don't want things. And ideally, I want many experiences that I experience with other people, shared experience. And if I do collect a couple things, I would like them to be things that everybody is able to enjoy. I am a major lover of houseboats. I had a houseboat, and it sunk. And oh, how my life would have been different had it not sunk, because it was where I recharged my batteries. But the reason I don't have another houseboat is because if I went out and bought that houseboat, it wasn't big enough to truly have a community to come enjoy it. So I'm like, I'm not buying another houseboat until I know that the damn thing is a 4, 5, 6 bedroom houseboat. Because if I'm gonna buy a houseboat, I want one big enough so that I can create community experience.
My next one, was there ever a point in time when you thought you were going to give up or that the business would never make it?
Many times. More times than I care to count. There was a time where things were so bad that I had to decide between eating, buying a pack of cigarettes, or paying the light bill to make sure that the door opened the next day. When I was a kid, I worked for one of the first Outbacks that opened up in Indiana. And I had resolved that, like, okay, I have a small team inside the operation and everybody else is being taken care of, but my basic needs are not being met. I'm gonna go get a part-time job so that I can at least generate some extra money so that I can at least make sure my personal needs are met. I applied at my local Outback, and I was told that I was not Outback material. And it was in that moment when I realized, or at least I told myself, I'm not employable anymore. And this is my chosen path, and I'm going to make this work, or I'm going to end up homeless. And honestly, it was right about that time things started turning for me. And I think that it was because I burned all other bridges so that there was no going back. There was no other options. There was no other choices. It was, this is my path and it's a sink or swim. And this is the only path. There is no path backwards to walk backwards. But dozens of times, the business was on a lifeline. Many times, flatlining and proverbially having to be shocked back into existence. I lived underneath the building for 6 years. I lived in an office for a year, getting a shit hotel every 2 to 3 days to get a shower. I slept on my couch inside of the cafe for a couple months, literally being woke up by the opener coming in to open, and then I had to get up and go into the office and sit in the chair, still wrapped up with my blanket, trying to wake up. Like, I've been homeless. I have been hungry. It was literally 20 different ways of being knocked down and just not knowing how to quit. It truly, that's, failure is when you throw in the towel and quit. I've always believed, you want to get real, like when my son died, I was pissed at the world because I trusted oncologists to save his life and they failed. I told myself that had I been in the decision-making abilities, that things would have been different. And this business was the reincarnation or the recreation of my son. And if it failed, that would be like him dying all over again. Quitting's not an option. The only way that this thing fails is for me to die. And I have said before into cameras, you will not beat me. It's deeper than most people just look at their things as possessions. They don't assign. And I know psychologists might look at me and be like, you know what, that's a really unhealthy way of thinking. I don't care. I'm fine with who I am. This business represents my son, and if it fails, then it dies. And if it dies, then it was under my control and I let it happen. That is why nobody will beat me, because it means something different to me, and it makes me dig deeper than most people will ever be willing to dig into themselves. And that's why you won't beat me. It just means something different to me.
If you had a close friend who was running a similar business to this and was more successful than you, how would it make you feel?
Oh, I would root for their success. I don't, that is the problem with humans. Humans will root for other people's success until they feel like they're outdoing them. And then they'll start talking shit and bad-mouthing them because nobody wants to see somebody else doing better than them. I root for everybody's success. And I can honestly say, like, even if you look at the stock market, you have varying levels of success. If you own a SaaS company or a technology company and you make a buck, the stock market is going to value that at $20. But if you're in the food and beverage industry and you make a buck, the stock market is going to value that at $2. So the value of what you do a lot of the time it's how much value do you bring to the world? Okay, well, coffee junkies and pizza junkies can affect 100,000 lives. But a software company can affect millions and millions of lives without ever having to open up another store. So if I find somebody else that's doing better than me, man, kudos to you. I know what you put into it for it to become successful. If I find somebody like me that is successful in the food and beverage industry, we're sitting around, putting our arm around each other going, aren't we a bunch of frickin' idiots? Because it's hard as hell, really hard to be successful in the food and beverage industry. And somebody can be like, oh no, I did it. Yeah, you did it for a year. Do it for 20 years. The food and beverage industry is a very fickle industry. It is it's the easiest industry to get into. It's the hardest industry to master. But I root for everybody's success. And yeah, when I see another entrepreneur that's been successful, my first thought is, what can I learn from you? Not how can I envy you? There's too much envy in the world in general. And that right there just comes down to too many people are too concerned about what other people are doing instead of paying attention to their own life's journey. But I root for success across the board. Anybody and everybody, because you're walking your path. And that path affects your mental status. And I root for everybody to have great mental health. And if somebody is successful, it's the work they put in. And it didn't have nothing to do with me. And if I'm successful, it's due to the work I put in. And it didn't have nothing to do with them. So having resentment for somebody else's success or having envy for somebody else's success, well, if you want to be successful like that, put in the work that they put in. Ask them for information. Ask them for help. Because if you got a problem with somebody else's success, you need to look in the mirror. That's an ego thing, and you really should check that.
Okay. Have you ever sent a secret shopper in here before?
Yes and no. No, I have not called up somebody and said, please go in there and look for X, Y, and Z. Yes, I have had many people that have said, hey, I'm in the area of one of your stores. And I'm like, please roll through and give me your feedback. So, yes, it is. Here's the sad truth. People will do the shittiest things if they feel like Big Brother is not watching. I gained a little bit more forced honesty out of people when the video cameras were installed, when the phone system started recording. Secret shoppers is another version of a check and balance to make sure that the people that you're employing, that their values, their prideful making of the product, they're honestly caring about the serving and taking care of customers, that I need that alignment, Laney. If I'm going to pay somebody, I need to know they're making the product the same way that I would. They're serving people the same way that I would. Because, again, I look at it like my child, and we are caretakers of that child, and the lifeblood of this place is those customers. And if we don't value them the way I would personally value them, then they'll quit coming. So the secret shopper is just a validating, I have good people in there taking care of my baby.
How did you come up with the name?
I don't have a great answer for this. And when I say I don't have a great answer for this, I came up with the name a little over 20 years ago. And I was in grieving at that time. I recall that the Junkiez name tied in very much with distributing caffeine. And I also recall thinking the parallels of, like, to every McDonald's brand, there's a Burger King. They sell the same thing. It's obvious. Burger King deserves to be number 2 to McDonald's, because McDonald's does not tell you what they're selling, but you know what they're selling because you know McDonald's. There needs to be a number 2, number 3, So a Starbucks, like, I know that I'm not going to be a Starbucks, but a Coffee Junkiez, there's room there for me to serve. And it was like, it was a tongue-in-cheek way of coming up with a name. And I am that person that I really don't think that I cross lines, but I'll walk right up on them. So I felt like that the Coffee Junkiez would resonate, because if you're a coffee person, you truly are a coffee junkie. And again, blue collar background, I didn't come into it the way Schultz came into it to build I don't have anything bad to say about Starbucks, because I have so much respect and admiration both for the brand that was created and for Howard Schultz and the work he put in to build that brand. I know I'll never be Starbucks. Burger King will never be McDonald's. They're still a national brand that people love, and you'll never catch me at a McDonald's. I have no desire to eat that product. I think it's garbage. But you'll catch me out of Burger King getting a double Whopper with cheese all day long. I don't care for their fries, but I'll eat their onion rings. So there's legitimacy in that. I think Burger King does it better than McDonald's, but I also respect their number 2 because of the way their brand was built. I think I do a lot of things better than Starbucks, but I will always accept that I will always be number 2 to that brand, and that's why I have so much respect for what he's done. So I can't recall that aha moment when I was like, that's it. But I can recall playing with it and being like, is this crossing a line? No, it's really not. It's right up on the line, but it's tongue in cheek, and I think people will take it as tongue in cheek. And I knew that it was catchy, that it would resonate with people. And I'm like, there does have to be a certain boldness. We're going to go with this, and we're just about like with everything. We're going to move forward, and I believe it was Mark Zuckerberg that said we're going to move fast and break things. That is change. That is development. I have never been afraid to move fast and break things, and good things come out of it, but we break shit, and we clean it up along the way, and that's part of growth and development. When you're growing and developing and moving fast, you're going to break shit. And we've broken many things, the business as a whole, and I have always come back to the basics: quality product, exceptional service. And every time I broke it, going back to the basics, I've been able to rebuild it to be better than what it was every single time that I broke it.
I think this is my last one. Would there be any differences in the business if what happened with Connor didn't happen, or would it exist at all?
It wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist. When I hired into Chrysler, that would have been 20 years old. At 20 years old, I did not think that I had intelligence. I thought that I was just willing to work. So it was a blessing to me to get inside of Chrysler, because I was able to work with my hands and be paid well. In my 20s, I became good friends with my union rep. He showed me that there was another level inside of that place. So I became interested in what do union reps do? What is the bigger meaning of a union? And I did something stupid. Truth be told, I mean, I almost killed somebody, and they wanted my job for it. And my union rep saved my job. And the fact that I was a good worker, and my scrap guy literally came to my defense to say, he's a young kid, he did something stupid, but he doesn't run scrap, and he shows up to work all of the time. Like, the fact that I have always taken pride in my work saved my job because people were willing to come up and defend me. But my union rep got me a second chance, and I believe there are circumstances to everything. Right and wrong is not just black and white, right and wrong. And I've always existed in that gray because there are circumstances to every situation. But the point is, when I saw that, I was like, I think everybody deserves a second chance in life. I want to be a union rep. I want to be the guy that is going to fight for your second chance. And when I became a union rep, I realized I had a level of intelligence. Candidly, I liked arguing, debating, if you will. As a union rep, I was able to be the uneducated guy that would go into human resources to argue with the educated, and I would mop the floor with them. So there was a level of, shit, maybe I am a little bit of intelligence. I'm winning these arguments. I'm winning these negotiations. I'm serving these people. To me, it was a very gratifying job. It's also a political job. I lost my re-election. I had enough people running against me that there were votes that were split, but I did my job well, and my resentment from them was, because I took the responsibility of doing this job so seriously, I took time away from my son that I could have been spending with him. And then you turned your back on me and you didn't re-elect me when I did my job, because it was the politics of, oh, if you're going to be represented, you deserve to be represented by somebody that's not going through these things. He's just lost his son. He's not going to be up for providing you the representation that you deserve. And I lost re-election by a couple votes. It was my dream job. I never wanted to be the number one. I wanted to be involved in leadership. I was happy to be a union steward that was part of a leadership team. And had Connor never died, like, I was a good union rep. I did my job well, but I wasn't up for the politics of being reelected. And had I never dealt with that, I'm very confident I would have been reelected. I would have continued to walk that path. My life would have been defined inside of Local 685 and inside of the UAW. And while the brainchild of Coffee Junkiez had been in my head the whole time, I never would have pursued it. Connor dying was what turned everything upside down. I made an emotional decision, and I'm telling you right now, 9 out of 10 emotional decisions will bite you in the ass, and you will look back and say it was the wrong decision. I made an emotional decision, and this is the life that I chose. It's so weird how, as you get to a certain point in your life, you'll look at the crossroads that you come to and how specific events literally shape your entire life. Because I was on my journey. I was married with twin boys and 3 kids as a whole, because when I married Marcia, she came as a package deal, and Taylor was 1 year old. And I was a happy union worker, proud of the work that I was doing because I was providing for my family. I was progressing inside of the local and inside of Chrysler, and that was my path in life. And if it hadn't been for Connor getting sick and dying, nothing would have steered me away from that path. And more to the point, I would have retired last September. 9/12/2024 was my 30-year retirement date had I stayed at Chrysler. And it's good, honest work. It's good pay, good benefits. No, none of this would exist. Totally change of life. And yeah.
Well, that was my last question.
Okay, so my 2 questions. Why do you choose to work for me?
I love being here. This is like my second family. I come here on my days off just for a safe space. I love the product. I feel like I can honestly sell it to people. If they ask for my opinion, I can tell them that I actually like it without having to lie about it. Yeah, it's easy for me.
No, that's because through experience, I've heard of people will work somewhere and they'll be like, don't eat there, or I wouldn't eat there. And I'm like, man, there must be something really wrong if like you're willing to work there to draw a paycheck, but you'll tell other people you wouldn't. So that's great. But your first answer was I didn't understand the word culture when I started this business. I knew that it would be a reflection of me because I'm a pretty strong-willed, strong-minded individual, but I didn't understand how important culture was and the development of that, so that even in my absence, that culture remained. I don't spend a lot of time in this store, so the fact that you can say that, I'm like, that is very important. The family element that is married to the team element, that close knit, but a team relies on each other. They don't let each other down the way families inevitably will let each other down. So if you can say that you literally will come in here when you're not even required to be in here clocking in, like, it's because this has become a comfort zone for you. And there's a family and a team element that at this point I have been purposely trying to develop that culture, because in order for us to be successful, I need that to transfer into store 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 before it can transfer into store 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, before it can to hold that culture in place. Because there are so many things in life that create pain and misery, and I damn sure do not want coffee junkies and pizza junkies to be one of them. So why should other people patronize the business?
Because, I mean, like I said before, it's a really good product. Like, you can't, sometimes if you like work for, like if you worked at McDonald's, you said that you don't like McDonald's, like you couldn't honestly tell somebody like, you should get this, I really enjoy this. But like, I can sit at the window and talk about how this is my favorite coffee, this is why this is my favorite coffee. Tell me what ingredients you like, I can recommend you a coffee or a pizza. It's very, it's easy for me to connect with the customers because I enjoy what I'm consuming, I guess. Yeah.
No, and it makes it a little easier when you are in fact a coffee junkie, but we've had plenty of girls that can come through here and it's like Coffee Junkies is so much more than coffee, where it's about enjoying the mixology side of it and enjoying being a barista and part of a team and interacting with people while knowing you don't necessarily have to love coffee, but the smoothies and the pops and the teas and the lemon shake-ups and all of the flavors. And I mean, everybody has a favorite beverage that they consume. And while Coffee Junkies is obviously based in espresso, it's specialty beverages as a whole. And hopefully we're filling in some gaps with the energies, and by adding boba and the dirty sodas. And again, I come back to the where I don't drink the lattes and mochas, I just drink the house coffee. These dirty sodas that you guys are creating, I'm like, yeah, just give me a regular Coke. But there's some pretty cool flavor profiles that are coming out of it, and you have been contributing to that as well. So I thank you very much. Okay, thank you for doing this.
Of course.
Of course. All right, that wraps it up. Have a great day. Powered by Coffee Junkies and Pizza Junkies.